Shout out DJ Baylor.
Has got it going on. Stacy's mom has got it going on. Stacy, can I come over after school? After school, we can hang around by the pool. Hang by the pool. Did your mom get back from her business trip? Business trip. Is she there, or is she trying to give me the slip? Give me the slip. You know I'm not the little boy that I used to be. I'm all grown up now, baby, can't you see? Stacy's mom has got it going on. She's all I want, and I waited for so long. Stacy, can't you see? You're just not good for me. I know it might be wrong, but I'm in love with Stacy. Stacy's mom has got it going on. 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 Stacy, do you remember when I mowed your lawn? I mowed your lawn. And your mom with just a towel on. I could tell she liked me from the way she stared. Way she stared. And the way she said, you miss a spot over there. Spot over there. And I know that you think it's just a fantasy. But since your dad got out, your mom could use a guy like me. Stacy's mom has got it going on. She's all I want, and I waited for so long. Stacy, can't you see? You're just not good for me. I know it might be wrong, but I'm in love with Stacy's mom. Stacy's mom has got it going on. She's all I want, and I waited for so long. Stacy, can't you see? You're just not good for me. I know it might be wrong, but I'm in love with Stacy's mom. Stacy's mom, oh. Stacy's mom, oh. Stacy's mom, oh. I know it might be wrong, but I'm in love with Stacy's mom.
Hello and welcome to a very bittersweet episode of Mid-Afternoon with Caleb Coyne. As you know by now, I am Caleb Coyne, and folks, the reason I say this is a bittersweet episode is that unfortunately it is going to be our very last. I'd like to thank the Garage for that excellent opening performance, and I'd like to say that even though this is our final episode, I think we're still going to spend the next half hour celebrating all the wonderful memories we've made this year with some laughs and some tears.
Nobody cares, okay? Only you care that the show is ending. People come here for a few yucks, and then you're not even giving them
Evan,
that.
everyone cares. Have you looked at the audience? There's not a dry eye in the house.
I'm ashamed to know you. That was just
That was a pretty clever
a
joke,
brand
I
new
thought.
low. Just
was-
plain
it was
lazy.
okay.
Lazy.
Okay, to be honest, folks, it was a little lazy, but I think we're all feeling a little lazy. Senioritis has hit in. We kind of wrote a script, but we can't use half of it. People don't like half of it. We barely have a monologue. Let's just try to get through this.
Yeah, let's just wing it.
Yeah.
You kids got your passes?
Okay, I mean, I'm hosting the show. I don't see why we need, but... Geez, DY's getting pretty strict with that pass stuff.
Yep, going downhill.
Yeah, we're definitely jumping off the Titanic right before it hits an iceberg.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, I'll say after this monologue ends, we do have an okay show planned for you. Actually, I'd say it's a pretty good farewell episode. We've got that promised interview with Mr. Jenks, which you'll know about if you watched our last one all the way through.
You
And
deserve a medal.
yeah, I'm sorry for some of that. And we've also got another performance by that band you saw earlier this episode, The Garage. And folks, the weather is changing, and as you can see by these flowers, spring has officially sprung. And as the weather's getting warmer, so too are the people. And because of that, we're going to be having an exclusive segment of love advice for those of you seeking summer romances with, I think, the perfect host for that, Luigi Angeloni and Ride Wheel. Luigi?
Hello, hi Caleb. I'd like to thank you for giving me this opportunity. I just want you to know, I uncommitted to college, I quit my job, and I bought a sports car because I know that this is going to work out.
Luigi, I hate to tell you this, but this is our last episode of the show. This is the only segment you're going to be able to do before it ends.
Oh, well, I guess I made some really bad decisions then.
Yeah, well, you got the next few minutes, so have fun with that. Ryan, what's the first question the viewer sent in?
Dear Luigi, I'm going on my first day on Saturday. I don't know what to do or how to act. SOS, Bryce Brown.
Well, Bryce, I would say act like a gorilla because gorillas in nature find their mate by acting like a gorilla. And if you want a mate, you got to act like one.
Well, on the topic of dinner dates, what's good etiquette? Should I pay? Should she pay? Should the waiter pay? What do we do?
Well, first off, I just want to go into the dinner date. You want to act as masculine as you can. You want to be throwing things, you know, show people who's boss. Then you just want to walk out on the bill. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Nobody pays. Nobody pays. Yeah.
Dish and dash, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Dear Luigi, I've liked someone for a while, but I think it's too late to ask them out. What do I do? Love, Jenny.
Well, it's never too late to ask them because I love my grandma, and I think that's worked out pretty well for me. Love you, Grandma.
Dear Luigi, I love a woman in my neighborhood, but I mostly express this love by staring at her through the window. Is it okay, or are the police right in telling me that it's wrong? Keeping it real, Donnie.
Well, I was once in a situation too. It was with some girl in my neighborhood, but I found out she wasn't actually a girl. She was a character on a TV commercial, and that it wasn't a window. It was a TV screen. Mrs. Butterworth, I will always love you.
So, if the sad part happens and we break up, who gets the pet? I have this pet parrot with my ex-girlfriend, and I love him.
Okay. Well, if you love the pet, you get the pet. But if she loves the pet, you drown the pet.
Dear Luigi, I think I'm falling in love with my co-host. Sincerely, Ryan Wheel.
Caleb, I quit.
Luigi, I think he left. Well, that's okay. I still think the segment went good. You know, Evan, I'm wondering while we're here, if Luigi was in the studio with us today, what love advice question would you ask him?
I'd ask him how to get my family to love me again.
Wow, that took a turn.
Show me your past.
Not again. You know, it seems that even though most of us leaving high school are legal adults, not everyone, people like my co-host here, but most of us are now able to vote and join the military, but we're apparently not allowed to walk 3 feet to a water fountain. But thankfully, we're leaving soon. I mean, we're graduating in a week, and we're going to need a new host for next year. Thankfully, folks, it was all taken care of, and Kyle Rogers, one of our other producers who you know well by now, went around the school trying to find a replacement for me for next year. Let's go see the auditions he got in the hallways now. Kyle?
Maeve, Mid-Afternoon with Caleb Coyne is looking for a new co-star. Have you seen our show? Yes. All right, would you like to be the host? Why not?
51. I'm not funny.
You're very funny.
Yeah,
Caleb is funny. Would you like to have a 5-second audition?
Oh, you mean
Sure. Okay, here you go.
No, you just go leave it in the water.
I like to eat peaches.
Mrs. Provost, as you know, Mid-Afternoon with Caleb Coyne needs a new host. Are you interested?
Where is your pass?
As you know, Mid-Afternoon with Caleb Coyne is looking for a new host. Are you interested in the job?
Possibly.
Okay, this is your 5-second audition. Hi. Mr. Cressetti, as you know, we are all graduating. We need a new host for Mid-Afternoon with Caleb Coyne. Are you interested in the job?
Am I interested? Absolutely.
This is your 5-second audition. If you were the host, what would be your catchphrase?
I don't know. I didn't think about that, Kyle.
All right.
We have time. I'll just wait.
Cringe.
Hi. As you know, Mid Afternoon with Caleb Coyne is looking for a new host. Are you a fan of the show?
Huge fan.
Really?
Yes.
Do you think you're the biggest fan?
Yes, definitely. Seen every episode.
Right. I'm very happy to hear that. Would you like to be the host of the show?
Definitely.
All right. This is your 5-second audition.
I know we have 3 weeks and 6 days.
What do I gotta do?
Excuse me, sir. We have a question for you. We are looking for a new host of Mid Afternoon with Caleb Coyne. Have you seen our show?
No.
You haven't? No. You haven't seen the most popular television show hosted by an awkward, unpaid teenager?
No.
It's been on all school year. It has nearly 200
Get
views.
out of my sight. Leave right now.
I don't know, I'm still thinking.
That's okay.
Yeah, keep thinking. Evan, what would your catchphrase be?
I've been thinking about that for a while. Nobody's asked me, so I haven't had time to think about it.
See, so now you know how I feel.
Yeah.
Just being put on the spot.
It's
You
tough.
know?
And especially when you look as ridiculous as you do.
Oh, I know,
right now,
probably,
with this,
I'm
with
sure.
This mirror.
You know what? So we don't even need a catchphrase. We can just show my face behind this mirror. And that's all people need to know.
Why don't you just say something like, drink more Ovaltine?
Drink more Ovaltine.
There you go.
Adam, as you know, Mid Afternoon with Caleb Coyne needs a new host. Are you interested in the job?
Yes, I am.
Okay, this is your 5-second audition.
Happy birthday. 1, 2, 3,
Uh-huh.
4, 5, 6, 7.
What would your catchphrase be?
What would my catchphrase be? I'm
12,
better than you?
13.
So, Mid Afternoon with Caleb Coyne.
I've never seen it, no.
Go away!
You going for it now? We're looking for a new host of Mid Afternoon with Caleb Coyne. Are you interested in the job?
Yeah.
Okay, this is your 5-second audition.
Well, those were certainly some interesting candidates. I don't know. What did you think, Kyle?
It's pretty good.
I disagree. I think no one quite has the charm and magic that I have as host.
No one can match you, Caleb, in my heart.
Well, you might see that Kyle's here where Evan usually sits because I thought it would be a good opportunity to ask all the stars of our show their plans. So, Kyle, what are your plans for after school?
I don't know. Probably gonna go to the store and watch some TV or something.
No, you misunderstand me, Kyle. I don't mean your plans for after school today. I mean like your long-term plans after graduation.
Yeah,
What?
I just told you.
Oh. Huh. Well, you do you, Kyle. As I promised you before, we're now going to cut to an exclusive interview with Mr. Jenks. We asked him about that past situation. By the way, I still have it. And we ask him some other questions too. I hope you all enjoy the final interview on Mid-Afternoon with Caleb Coyne. Let's cut to it now. Okay, thank you, Mr. Jenks, for meeting with Evan and I today for our show. I know you're a very busy person as principal.
Thanks for inviting me.
Pretty soon, the class of 2016 is going to be graduating. You're going to be giving one of those speeches where you talk about how much we accomplished, how great a class we are. I've seen 3 of those so far. I get it. I'm just wondering, have you ever not believed one of those speeches? Have you ever been thinking, you know what, this class was okay, but it's a bit of an off year?
Actually, no. Maybe we're lucky, but I think the numbers work for you. We've never had a class that didn't have people that did some great things. Everybody talks about a class having chemistry often. You know, what's that class like? Is that the athletic class or the academic class? When we have a class of 150 or more students graduating, you always find there are all kinds of talents there. I think the key is making sure you're looking for the talents.
Well, I actually do think that our class is pretty great, so if you want to right now take some time to say some good things about us, I won't complain.
Sure. You know, I think I'm going to have to start making a list of all the great things your class did and then edit that down. They only give me 4 or 5 minutes to speak during graduation. You know, is it that 4th band championship for marching band in a row? Is it winter percussion? Is it, my gosh, we started girls lacrosse here, the first season ever. That's been phenomenal. Or the girls track getting ACL champs or softball co-champs. All kinds of teams, all kinds of accomplishments. Or I could talk about the art shows, and we always have students at the Globe Scholastics getting gold and silver and honorable mentions. And again, one of our seniors gold.
I think there's also been some dazzling TV hosts that have come up in the class of 2016 as well. Would you agree?
Yes, you're one of the more dynamic hosts I've ever worked with.
Let's put that on the commercials.
A lot of people and even some teachers have been downing what I guess you could call our senior prank this year. Since you've been principal, what is the most interesting senior prank you've seen?
Oh, there's been all kinds of senior pranks. There's been people trying to use the saran wrap to seal the bus port. One year they released chickens in the hall. That was rather amusing in its own way.
Do you have any other stories about the chickens being released in the hall?
The chickens being released in the hall, actually, it was a very short-lived prank. I think the students who brought the chickens in thought, oh my gosh, we'd all be running around chasing the chickens in the hall going, what do you do? What do you do? Actually, there's a couple of us. I was one of them. We grew up on a farm. We had 300 chickens. So we picked up the chickens, brought them back to the office. I tried to give them a suspension, didn't work, and then we moved on.
That's amazing. Well, we've asked some questions about us. Do you think we should ask some questions about Mr. Jenks?
Right. So what kind of high school student were you like?
I was, I think, a fairly typical high school student in the 1970s. I was an athlete. I perhaps don't look like that now, but I did track and cross country. And it was a school that was committed to developing students both academically and with some co-curriculars. I was probably about number 45 or 46. I don't remember exactly, in a class of about 250. And so I think I was a pretty typical high school student.
You mentioned your history classes. If I understand it correctly, you became a history teacher?
Yes. Actually, early in my career, I taught English at Amherst High School for several years. What I loved about that school is you could walk into a history class or an English class sometimes, and you weren't sure which was which. Because in our history classes, we often did the novels they were doing in English, and we made them coordinate so that people understood the time period as well as perhaps reading, Pride and Prejudice. Then I came to Dennis Yarmouth in 1984 and started teaching world history to freshmen, some junior history, and we had a lot of fun with that.
And how did you make the transition from teacher to principal?
For about a 3-year period, I served as a temporary assistant principal when people were ill or they needed somebody to cover something. And so I actually went back and forth between being a teacher and being an assistant principal. So I was able to grow into the role. I got to do numbers of different things. I worked on the scheduling side, worked on the discipline side. And then when the principal at the time left, there were 2 internal candidates who were finalists. One of the other assistant principals and myself, and I became principal.
It would be easy, as many people have had, to take a jab about iPads because we're obviously the only grade that still does not have any. But that was obviously not your decision because a lot of grades in other schools have iPads. So what was your initial thoughts when iPads were introduced into high school?
I loved the idea of more technology. The reality is we're like most school districts. The idea of going out and spending about $2 million on iPads in 1 year just wasn't possible. And that was why the decision was made to add them at the younger grades and work their way up. And so then you add a grade a year. So when they started with the pilot, say students 6th, 7th, and 8th got the iPads, then the next year when you added another grade or 2 grades of iPads, they kept on working their way up. And invariably, right, you're the class that was just a little too old to get advantage of that.
And what is your next big goal for DY? Like now we had the 1 year where iPads were introduced. What is something that's in the works now that is going to be a next big change?
Something I'm looking forward to is I'd like to expand our work-based learning program. I think most students and most parents will say one of the things that really we wonder about is, when am I going to use this? Or how does this apply to my life? That's that age-old question. I think the more students we get out on internships in our community, the better. And so there's a real link, so my classes seem to make sense because it's connected to something I want to do with my life. Because most people will say, oh, I want to go to college after high school. Well, then what do you want to do? You have a career in mind. And the sooner we can get people experiencing that, the better.
One goal I've seen lately is that you've been, I don't know if you've changed the rules with passes, but you've at least been enforcing them stricter. Can you talk about how that came about?
Yes. We felt that there was some genetic programming for people with that nomad gene that really came to the front this spring. And usually every spring we go through this as a school. You know, people are becoming lax about the standard pass rule. Geez, I'm only going down the court 16 feet. You really have to sign the clipboard in the classroom and go, I'm going to the bubbler 16 feet down the hall. Have the teacher sign the pass. And what happens is then some other students wander. And so we're always looking at class minutes. Are you spending time in the classroom? I obsess on that almost because that becomes the more time you spend in a classroom, the more likely you are to learn. So, yes, the yellow passes have returned, and we're really tight on it. And it's really cut down on some of the wandering. And the goal was, get back into your classroom. You know, as many of you remember during advisory, go with purpose. What's the point? Why am I going there? Let's get back to class. And to put it in a kind of little pun, dolphins always have purpose.
So do you have any pets?
And can we meet them?
Yes, we have Lola, golden retriever, getting a little on in years, but she's still got some movement in her. She gets around. A fun dog. I suppose we could arrange to have her brought here. The bonus is we could march the dog through the building and everybody think it's a drug-sniffing dog, so you get a bunch of benefit out of that as well.
You know, Evan, what I think would really benefit our school if we had a little more money? Ping pong tables. What do you think? Is that a good class gift, Mr. Jenks?
I could just see it now. Dolphin table tennis. Letters, jackets, another championship. We would dominate the Cape in table tennis.
I hope you're all listening.
More important questions. Princess.
That was very important.
Princess Bride, yes or no?
Yes.
Yep, thank you. All right, great.
Of course. We've noticed those Gatorade posters around the school. Is Gatorade like sponsoring DY or something now?
They provided a variety of materials and products for us as samples. It's part of their promotional campaign. Some of you may remember there was an after-school meeting, totally voluntary, where a representative came and talked about their materials and their product. Like everything, we kind of look at it from the wellness point of view. Does this make sense as a power bar or a beverage? And so, yes, there's a little bit of advertising that went with that. And yet, at the end of the day, you get those coolers and you get that support for your team. And it's a viable product because large numbers of our students walk around, they buy Gatorade, they bring it to practices with them.
And for my final question, I was wondering, right now you're my principal, so it makes sense that I call you Principal Jenks or Mr. Jenks, but once we graduate in a couple weeks, that would be a little formal, so I'm wondering after that, can I call you Kenneth?
No.
Ken?
I prefer not.
How about Kenny?
No.
Kenny J. Swizzle?
What are you talking about?
Ken Dog?
Enough with the Ken Dog.
Prince KJ?
No.
Can a brother get a high five?
Oh my gosh.
Wait, there's more. Can I call you Rock Ken Roll? Jenks for nothing? Ken and Jankers? K. Jenkeesis? The artist formerly known as Prince? Sybil Jenks? Ken at Work? Kenny J. Nichols? John F. Ken Jenks Entity? Kenster Jenkinstein? K to the J? Fresh Principal of Bell Jenks? Oh my god, they got Kenny Jenks? Put your money in the Jake Bank? Yes, we can. Dank Jake, Ken Edition. King Ken. Kingable Ken Jenks. Any K Yanks J. Jenksis Maximus. The Principal Jenksis Bride, because I know he does like that movie. Well, I thought that was an excellent interview, and indeed, we are coming towards the end of all episodes. And okay, I see what's happening here. You want to say what you're doing after high school? Okay.
Okay, so I'm really excited to tell you guys everything that's happening next year. I have a lot planned out.
Caleb Coyne!
Oh my god, who are you? Weren't you in the band?
It's me, Joey Ice.
Joey Ice! I didn't recognize you with that elaborate disguise.
Hey, I was talking.
Shut up!
What's happening?
Now it's gonna be your turn. Ah,
I'll give you anything, Joey, just don't kill me. This is how the last episode ends. I'm killed like a Game of Thrones character. Please, Joey, I'll give you money.
One more song, The Garage. I don't want to lose your love tonight. I don't want to lose your love
As long
tonight.
as you're not the one singing, as long as you're not the one singing. Okay, I'll give you a song.
Okay. Bring it in, bring it in, bring it in. Oh, yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the final performance in mid-afternoon history, The Garage.
Josie's on a vacation far away. Come around and talk it over. So many things that I wanna say. You know I like my girls a little bit older, and I just wanna use your love tonight. And I don't wanna lose your love tonight. You know I got my friends left to talk to. No one's around when I'm in trouble. You know I'd do anything for you. Stay the night but keep it undercover. And I just wanna use your love tonight. And I don't wanna lose your love tonight. Something in my mind's not making sense. Something in my head's not making sense. Is that the way I'm feeling? As you leave me, please would you close the door? And don't forget what I told you. Just 'cause you're right, that don't mean I'm wrong. Another shoulder to cry upon. And I just wanna use your love tonight. And I don't wanna lose your love tonight. Lose love. And I don't wanna use your love tonight. And I don't wanna lose your love tonight. And I don't wanna lose your love tonight. Yeah. And I don't wanna lose your love tonight. And I don't wanna use your love tonight. Yeah.
Well, folks, it's the moment that we've all been dreading. I know I've been dreading it as well, and it's time to say that this is the very last scene you are ever going to see of Mid-Afternoon with Caleb Coyne. It's also the last scene we're going to shoot before we dismantle this set and never use the stage again, but I would just like to say thank you. First off, to the 3 other people who made the show with me, Evan Brownlee, Kyle Rogers, and Katie Jones. Even though I've wanted to murder each and every one of them many times, including all of them one time this morning during an argument, we still spent a lot of time together making this show, and we all had a lot of laughs. I'd also like to say thank you to everyone else who was involved with the show and gave their time, and to all of you out there watching this. Whether you're someone who knows me and likes this show or doesn't know me and hates this show, the fact that you're watching this and adding to our YouTube views is what makes all the work we put into this worthwhile. It's time to end soon. We're all going to be moving on from high school. Many of us will not see each other again, but I would just like to say, I hope we all share some memories from this, and I hope we all gain something. And if I don't see you again from the last scene of the show, I'd like to say,
Have a great afternoon.
Have a good afternoon. Goodbye, and have a great late afternoon.
Have a great afternoon.
Have a great afternoon. Have a good afternoon, DY.
I am still the better host, but most importantly, have a good afternoon.
just say it.
Step closer.
Say it.
Step closer.
Have a great afternoon.
And have a great mid-afternoon.
Have a great mid-afternoon.
Have a great mid-afternoon.